Welcome to Object-Oriented Game Design. Game Design 1, Game Design set of tutorials. This being the first, we're gonna set up a frame and the basic architecture of a Java game today. So let's get straight into that new project. We're gonna make a Java application and we're gonna name it Game Design 1. Yeah, notice here that the package is taking out the space or spaces and give it a default name for the main class game design 1. I'm just going to keep that, uh, keep a project name like that. Right, so with this main class here, this will be obviously the main class, but this will be the class that creates the frame for the game. I like to keep things separate, so we're just gonna have this class to deal with that. But there are a few other classes that need set up as well. Game, main menu, and status bar. Just to cover all the elements of the frame before we put any game logic inside of it. This will be the basic architecture. When I'm talking about game architecture, what I'm referring to is this sort of basic game architecture. Every game you create will be based upon a platform and will have these certain elements to it, the graphics and the audio and the input, the game logic, event handlers. Even if the event handlers are actually inside the input, it will still contain all these elements, regardless of what game you're going to create. All games need graphics, all games need audio. I think what's missing from here is things like menu systems. Things outside the actual game architecture that you would expect in most games. You know, most games will have an options menu. So in the game class, game design class, we're going to need to set up a few uh, attributes, variables, and I like to set up comments at the same time. So let's get the comments out the way here. We're going to need attributes. In addition to attributes, we're probably going to have some links. And in addition to links, as most classes will, we're going to have a constructor. Okay, so I'm going to set all my classes up with these same comments just to separate the issues within inside the classes. In addition, we're probably going to have some comments inside the code as well, but we'll get to them in a second. Let me just set up another class in here. So this class will draw the frame out. We obviously need another game class. This will be game logic. Will go inside of here, but a few other things too. New class game. Okay, so in addition to our frame class, we've now got a game class. And like I said, this will include all the game logic and game functions inside here. But it's going to be exactly the same setup as all the other classes in respect to these sections at the top. So I'm just going to copy and paste these in. Alright, I'm actually missing one here because below the constructor we'll also need section 4 public protocol. And that'll contain all the methods that the class can handle, whether requested from inside the class or from another class. It's still under the public protocol. Okay, so trying to do this as quickly as I can now. In addition to the game and the frame class game design 1, we're gonna need a main menu across the top, a J menu bar, and a status bar across the bottom. So if I just create those quickly now, starting with the main menu, and that's going to be in a different package to the default one here, because that's going to be part of the GUI. So we've got the main menu in the GUI. And the final class for the day, or maybe the final class, I don't know how long this is going to go. This will be the status bar. And this will be the bar that goes along the bottom of the application on the game. Okay, so we've got these four classes now. And they're all going to need these different sections. I know this is a little tedious, but it's best to start off how you mean to go on. This way you can easily find out where the attributes start and end, and where the links start and end. That way, if anything messes up, you'll be able to find it easier. Okay, so we've got our sections, we've got our four classes. Game design 1, game, main menu, status bar. So let's go straight into the constructor of game design here. Just the way I like to do it, but we could get Netbeans to write this out, but it's probably best if I just type it game design 1 constructor. And inside there, as in every constructor, we're gonna need a system dot println, just to tell the user this constructor is in game design 1, and it's just called a new game design 1. Great. Alright, so this will come up in the output down the bottom here, and what it's telling me is that it's coming from this class, and this is what's just happened. If we do that, we can tell which classes run first and when, and things don't get confusing, and you know where you are. So I'm going to take this, copy. In fact, most of these classes won't actually have arguments in them, so I can use the same constructor and just fill in the blanks. Constructor, oops, and that's just game. That's that one done. The main menu is going to extend J menu bar. I'll put that in a second. And status bar is one with parameters and arguments in the constructor. We haven't got to that stage yet. I'll put those in. Okay, so we've got the four constructors in. We've got status bar, the menu, main menu, game, and game design 1. We're also going to need a frame in this constructor setup, and that frame is going to be a new J frame. And we're going to have some parameters, some arguments in there. Did I spell that right? J frame, no. Okay, and again with the internal comments here, we're going to go create new J frame. Spelled it right this time. And the frame itself is going to have arguments, so these arguments will be game title, plus game version. So, version. Okay, with a space in the middle, just to separate. Now that's going to set up the title in this J-frame here, but obviously we don't have these attributes or variables initialized yet. So if I put them in here, Netbeans will tell me they don't exist, and it will give me an opportunity to create them without having to type any code in theory. After that, we're going to need to set up a game, and as we set up the constructor with no arguments, that's just simple new game. And again, with the internal comments, we need create new game, and then just constructor. Okay, next is the main menu. Create new main menu. And again, that's just a blank constructor, so do that. Alright, it's not a blank constructor in this one. This one actually does take game. So we need to add that to the constructor as well, but and this is called menu BR. Just to change the name and give it somewhat descriptive, menu bar. But don't get confused with menu bar and J menu bar. Completely different things. Okay, and that'll be a new main menu with the argument that we just created. Game. Okay, next. And the frame's going to need a size, or dimension even. Create size, which is going to be a variable of dimension. New dimension. And this is going to have the arguments get main width and get main height. These are modules that we'll have to create, or functions we'll have to create, but they'll be part of that new dimension I'm going to set up now. So dimension size equals new dimension with those arguments in, which I'm just going to copy and paste. Okay. Again, don't worry about the errors at this point. The reason they're there is to tell us that it's not complete yet. And I've spelled that one. With most IDEs, you'll get some sort of hints at the side here, or if you use an Eclipse and you glaze over them, you can get the imports from there or create new fields and variables. From the size one, we're going to be creating a panel. So create a panel, which is new J panel. And the argument for that is going to be new border layout. And that's constructor. So just type that out in Java. Panel equals new J panel. And the argument is new border layout. That at the end. Okay. Notice I'm not creating these attributes or putting them up here yet. I'm going to allow Netbeans to create them for me. which might be a good idea, but it might be the wrong way around. I wouldn't put public or private in all of them at this point and get Netbeans to create them. It may do that yourself. But anyway, with the panel, we're gonna have to set the size of the panel. Uh, Set brief. How do you spell that? Double R E D. Size. And that's just gonna be size. Alright, getting there. We will build the frame any second now. The next one we need to do is set up the status bar. Uh, Status bar. And that's gonna be status bar, the variable. It's gonna have some arguments in a swing constant center. Remember, it's the American way. No, it's the British way of writing center. Okay, not RE but ER. And we're gonna need a raised bevel. Oops. Raised bevel border for the status bar. Let's just copy that in. Copy status bar equals new status bar. And again, we've not created that constructor yet, so we need to put those arguments in and initialize them as well. So moving on from the status bar, we then set up the panel. I'll do the comments on this later. And it's going to be another add, so let's copy that down. First one we're going to add, bottom layer will be the game, and that's going to be border layout with center. And second one down, it's going to be the status bar, and that's going to have a border layout south. Where's that go? There we go. So let's just go through this quickly. Creating a new frame would be using the game title and the game version as the arguments for the title of that JFrame. Then we're creating a new game object, and then a main menu object with the game as the argument on that constructor. Then setting up a size, creating a new JPanel and setting the preferred size of JPanel to size, creating a new status bar with these arguments, and then adding those to the panel, game and status bar, center and south respectively. Okay. Now we've got a JFrame game menu bar, panel, and status bar. It's gonna put them all together in this frame now. So this section will be setup frame, and in here we've got the basic commands for JFrame. So frame set size, and obviously again that's going to be size. We've not determined the size yet. We just told it it's going to have a a method to get the width and the height, but we'll set those. So frame set content pane. Well, it would help if it didn't have cap locks on, and I could spell. No, I think I hit cap locks instead of A there. Frame set content pane. To panel. And the reason we do it that way around is that the frame is going to be completely separate. You're always going to have the frame uh, surrounding the application while the application is running. You won't necessarily have the game in the center of that. You won't necessarily be showing the status bar in the center of that, but you will always have the frame in the background. And a panel will deal with everything that's inside the panel, the game and the status bar. And again, the game and the status bar might not be shown at certain points, like you might have a menu state added to that, or you might want to hide the status bar. So that's why we separate those issues anyway. Continue with the frame here. Now at this point I would set the frame set icon image and that will be set to icon, but that's part of textures and I'm not really doing textures at this point, so I'm going to comment that out, but that will need to be sorted at some point. In addition to that, then we're going to have to pack the frame, so frame dot pack. Following that, then it's going to be frame set visible to true. Set J menu bar, and it is J menu bar, not menu bar, which is a separate command and leads to all kinds of errors if you get them confused or miss out that J. So remember, set J menu bar, not set menu bar. Completely different. And we're going to set that to the menu bar we created above menu BR. Following that, three more things we need to deal with as far as the frame, and the first is frame set resizable null or set resizable false. Yeah, that's right. And set location relative to null. Which will center it in the screen regardless of what size it is. Okay, and finally now we're going to have a custom red X in the corner, not the image, but just the functionality of it. And the reason we do that is closing the frame doesn't necessarily shut down the program. Sometimes the frame just closes if you do a system exit out, and it doesn't uh, end the program. The program still runs in the background. We don't want that to happen, so I'm going to add a window listener. And that's going to contain a window adapter. This part is not actually my code. I copied this off someone online. I don't recall the name, so if this is your code out there, great fucking code. Right, have I done that right? No. So the inner constructor or inner method should be there, and that should have one of those at the end. And I should learn how to spell window. Add window list and a new window adapter. Yep. And inside here we're gonna public void, and we're gonna override window closer. And inside the window closing, we're then going to do a system error print line that just confirms we are in fact exiting game, as opposed to just closing the frame. Um, so two things we would do here is one of them being close the frame. The second would be stop the game thread with the game.stop, but obviously we've not written that yet, so that's gonna come up as an error. I'm gonna comment that out just so we don't look for it and cause problems when we're testing. So this final one will be system exit with zero arguments. Okay, now that is our constructor for the frame done. Obviously we've got a hell of a lot of errors in there because the other variables in the other classes haven't been set yet. We'll move on to that now. The other two things, when dealing with frames, you do normally have an icon, but you also have a look and feel to the frame as well. And because I like to separate the issues, what I did was a set icon module, which just basically loads the icon into the variable. Instead of doing it above, we're doing the constructor here, and before the frame is set, we want to set look and feel. And again, that's a separate issue from actually creating the frame itself, and you might want to change that without changing the frame. So we put that in a different module as well. So before the frame is created, we're going to set the icon image uh, on the icon variable and set the look and feel of any frame that gets created afterwards. And then straight away after that, we create the frame with the game title and the game version. Once everything's packed together, then the icon should come up next to the game title. But anyway, moving on. That is the constructor for game design one. It's the basic constructor to create the frame, the main menu, the internal panel, and the status bar, and add them all together. Um, Adding the game and the status bar to the panel first, and then setting the content pane and the frame to that panel. Then packing it, setting it to visible, adding the J menu bar that we're going to create in a minute, setting the resizable to false, relative location to null, and dealing with the custom close the window as well as stop the game. Alright, so a couple of things that go in the main. So the first one will be if you're going to have a splash screen come up before this frame is created, you're going to need your splash screen code here before you go ahead and create a game design one object. We'll just call it GD1. That just normal constructor on this game design one. And that called the constructor we just created, which will create the frame, game, the panel, the menu, and the status bar. And that's all that needs to go in there until we get around to the splash screen code, which will obviously need to run before we open that frame up. There's no point in opening that frame and then having a splash screen. There would be no point to the splash screen because, as you can see, we've got quite a few errors down the side here at this point. And that's all because we have no attributes at the top here. So, leaving these two modules out here, we'll deal with the modules any second now. We'll import the JFrame because there's going to be quite a few more swing imports. I'm just going to import the whole package there instead of just that, and the auth will also have quite a few from that package. Uh, so I'm going to import the whole package of that as well. But those two really are the main ones inside here. The swing and the alt would definitely be used in look and feel. Swing, oh, in fact, we might need an image one there as well for the buffered image of the icon. But we'll get to that anyway. So we've got a JFrame import. Let's create a field called titling game. No, let's do just this class at the moment. So create frame field in game design one, and that's come up here and it's called put it private final. Um, we can do things like that, I guess, in the sense that it's going to be set up in the constructor. But personally, I would just at this point, oops, just do that. Because we don't know if it needs to be private or public at this point. Most frames, main frames, will be private and only run from in this class. So you can see why Netbeans set that up, but we'll leave it as the basic at this point. What I like to do here is also add comments to these. So this will be uh, frame variable uh, game design one off. Yeah, okay. And these comments can be used for the others as well. Right, constructor. Game design one constructor. Just in case we need to put anything else in there to let us know what it does. But at the moment that's alright. Or it would be if that had turned up. Okay. So game title and game version, we'll deal with those when we're dealing with this class here. At the moment we're just working on this. And we also need to create a game field to hold that object. So let's create that now. In fact, we don't need to import game because it's in the same package. Although it's come up with the private final, you might want to restart the game at some point and create another uh, game or replace the game instance that already exists with a new one. So having it final would not be very good here, and having it private means that it can't be accessed outside this class or package, I think. So that's not a good thing either. So we're going to get rid of those at this point. We'll figure out whether they should be private or public later on. Most likely that's going to be a public and maybe even public static, but it's called game and it's a variable of game design one. Alright, moving on. Menu BR is going to be a J menu bar, and main menu at the moment doesn't have this argument and it doesn't extend J menu bar. So let's come in and sort one of those out. Uh, right. Now we can refer in the constructor to this, and it will be referring to the J menu bar once we've added the import, which again is swing, and I'm pretty sure we're going to use a bit more swing in here. So let's make that the whole package import again. That's all we need to do in here except put this game in here as the argument. And then we need to import it because game is not in this package. And then we would do the constructor and add that as a parameter in the constructor, but I'm not going to work on that at this point. Back to game design one here. Right. Can't find the menu BR and it needs an import for main menu. So add the import for main menu. Make sure main menu is saved. Now it's just telling me that menu BR needs creating. So let's go ahead and make a field out of that. Again, don't think that's going to be used outside of here, and there will only be one main menu. And as long as we're creating it in the constructor here, we can make it private, we can make it final, because there'll only be one, ever throughout the game. That will not change. It won't be replaced with a new menu at any point during the game. So private final is fine for that. Better change the comments on it just to make sure we know what we're talking about now. But because that's a main menu item and not actually a variable inside here, like an int or string, we're going to put that menu br as a main menu object of game design 1. And it's actually not an attribute, it's a link. It's a link to another object, main menu object in this case. We've got a constructor sorted and we've got a couple of attributes up here. There's a few more to create. We'll just sort out these attributes here. Panel needs to be created. I'll create a field out of that. Again, this could very well be final, but we might have some problems with this in the future. Adding removing objects to this panel, but and this is a variable. And I think we should keep the variables without the private final, regardless at this point. Try and keep in the convention of putting comments both to describe your variables and inside internal comments as well, just to let you know where you are. The idea is if you got a team of people working on one game, you've got to be able to follow the other person's code, and that's why good comments, add good traceability and good maintainability to your code. It might seem, a bit pointless, but that's what they're for. And also, if you go to generate Java docs here, or this that we typed in the comment will be part of that. So bear that in mind. Why have we got errors here? We need to override it. That's fine. And add the import for window adapter. And it's not offered me this up, so I have to type it over, right? Because we're overriding the window close. I think it does. The reason it doesn't override is because I've written it wrong. Inside here, we need the argument of a window event E. And we have to import that as well. There we go. Yeah, wonder why that was showing up. So finally, status bar and raise bevel. I'll create a field out of this, so I've got to import it first. And when it gets around to it, it's not going to actually change from that because we need to set up the arguments here. And because there's 3 of them and this shows what they are, let's just copy and paste these over. In the status bar constructor, we need to add the arguments. You can add that import for swing constants, yeah, that's fine. But status bar, using the J label, we'll probably need a few more swing attributes. This here is going to be a string message. This is going to be an integer. We'll just call that I, and raise bevel is going to be a border. And it's not going to be called that there, we just call it border. Okay, and we have to import the border. Don't do what I did yesterday and import the FX border there. Make sure it's Java swing border, not the Java FX scene layout border. Completely different things. Okay, so got rid of all the errors and it's telling me this because I've not got the constructor comments in. at this point. I don't know why. We will need the swing at some point here, so I'll leave that in, but that's that sorted. So now it will let me create the field status bar, and the message we're actually going to send in here is going to be default Reddit. And then we need to create the raised bevel, but let me just sort this out because I know it's come up in the wrong place. No, it's under links, that's fine. So, and final, I think we're going to have trouble with the final on that one because we do need to change the status bar at some point. But whether we need to change it from a J label to something else or create a new J label out of it, I'm not sure at this point. So we'll leave it as private final. If it gives us any chip, then we'll change it. Status bar. And again, that's on the links, so we can have the private final at this point. I'm not putting the public or private on these just yet because we haven't decided that. We'll figure it out. I think it might be this raised bevel that's causing a problem, so let's create that as a variable. And again, variables go with the variables. And we don't have private or public at this point, but I do have comments. Alright, so we have frame game panel border at the frame, and the menu of the frame and the status bar of the frame all set up. Try and create some of these. We need the variables adding for main width and main height. And game is actually a link. And make it public at this point, since it is a link. Right, yeah, that makes more sense. What did I say we needed here? Yeah, sometimes it's just easier to copy and paste things. So this will be main width. Main height. And both of these will be integers. Okay. And the reason I set them up now is because we're going to need them for these first two methods. But because I've typed them out already, Netbeans is not going to create them for us, which in some sense is good because they won't end up all the way up the screen. They're not supposed to, when they should be down there. I'm going to leave main at the bottom and just put them above here. They're going to be needed at some point here. And these are going to be public static methods. If I could spell that. And there's going to be two of them, so let's copy that. Now what's it telling me? Invalid method. Alright, so I need a return type. And the return type for get main width and height, like we set up above, it's going to be int. Int. And just to stop them showing now, return 0. Okay. Let's just set these comments up to. No parameters. but there is a return. So let's start the return type on both of these. Right. Both returning 0 at the moment. We haven't decided what size screen we want, but at least those two are out of the way now. That'll be there, but now we've still got problems here. Panel add. Let's set these two up as well. These are only, well, this first one's very short. Set icon, set look and feel. I can shorten that just by adding the package. Okay, keep things simple. Move that up there. Okay, the other methods are turn up, down, there, and we can do them again above the main. And just throw in the comments. Okay. Alright, this is gonna be a new buffered image, but we no idea what we're gonna put in there at this point, so leave that. And this can actually set up the raise bevel, which will be used as part of the status bar arguments, but it might also be used somewhere else in the look and feel as well. This is border factory create what is it called? Raised bevel border. Raised bevel border. And that's it, set that up. Very simple to do. The icon actually is going to have a little bit more code there. It's going to be it's going to introduce a new class, and this new class is new texture. And inside the argument texture, we're going to need a path file name. We don't need the extension of that because that's going to be added by the texture class itself. But then inside the texture class, we're going to have a method get image. Now a lot of the texture class I didn't write myself. I got it from other people like Cherno and Boss Let's Play and those sort of characters, you know, and New Boss and tutorials. So a lot of this code is actually from that sort of source. So we set up the frame, the panel, the border, the main width and the main height, the main menu, and the status bar, and the game object. Complete the constructor with exception to those two, and we've got problems with the panel, which is probably to do with the game not actually being set. See, it's actually determining game as a I know what's wrong now. Game is supposed to extend canvas, and I've not actually put that in yet. As soon as I extend canvas on game, then these red lines will disappear. I forgot to add extends canvas and import canvas. Okay, because the game will be rendering a large part of, you know, the textures on the screen, so we'll do a lot of drawing on the game part. But to add that to a J panel, you do need to extend canvas. That's why it was giving me errors here, and it still is because I'm not saved there here. So I'll save that. Is it going to check the background? No, it's going to wait. Okay, so now we've got the game out of the way, and it reckons status bar has got a problem. So I'm assuming status bar might have the same issue. Have I put the extenders on? I've not. And this is going to be a J label. So extends J label and save, and we've got the swing import there. It's just telling me I need this constructor sort, so I'm going to throw this in as well. It's going to want these parameters, so oops. Let's add these in as well, in the same order. That should be border, not order. And just to explain what these are, this will be status message of status bar. That will simply be border status bar, and this will be location. Um, Relative to the frame or the panel it's inside of. So this is status bar constructor. Set up with the comments, save that. We've extended the J label, and if I go back to game design now, it should update down here, and it's already done it here. We still have an error. Yeah. The only things left to do is create a title and a version attribute in the game class. So this JFrames title and version will show up, and as soon as that's done, then we should be able to open it up and show a frame. Alright, let's just add a title field, and that has to be static, so it's going to be accessed from a different class. Although in the same package, it still needs to be static, and the other one is the version. Well, I'm not sure why that's remain red. It's done now. So the version, and again that needs to be a static string. Now just add these comments quick. So with a title and a version field in game, and they're static, so they can be accessed outside here. Because we're going to use these straight away in creating the frame, there's no point in leaving them blank, so I'm just going to put a stick on title here of game design 1, and because it's our very first version of this game or game design, we're just going to set this again as a string, but it's 3 zeros. And just to let people know, it is version 0.00, as in the very first one that ever came out. We'll set it like that. So the title and the version should come up at the top here, and if we had an icon image on the frame, it would turn up in the top left hand corner there. So we've now got no errors here, created or set the icon image ready to be added to the frame. Later date there. Set any look and feel like the border that we might need to apply to the frame before it's created. Then we create the frame with the game title and the game version, which we've already set here. Now, although these are static, we could go public static final, I think, on these because they're not going to change throughout the game. You're not going to change the game title on it. The game version is going to be the same when you're running um, the game, regardless of what version it is. Yeah, the main menu is going to deal with the menu across the top here. Probably just going to show you the file and the help in this part once we get around to it. But let's have a look at the frame because we've not set the width and the height. Returning 0 here, it will just show a frame bar. It might have title, it might have the version, and it should come up in the center here as well. We'll also get this down the bottom there, just to let us know it's been created. So we have got the title here. We would have the icon. We've got our frame, but the frame is defaulting to 0 because we've not completed this get main width, get main height yet, which we should do now just to give it a size. Now I've set these up here to nothing at this point. Wondering if we should give them a default value or set them. I think we should set them down the bottom here. So inside these methods here, get main width, we're going to be returning the main width at that point. But we need to check that it's not null or not less than what it should be. So we're going to put an if statement in here. And we're going to say if main width is less than whatever the main width we're going to put here, 640 on the width. Then we're going to use the other method, set main width to 640. And then this main width here will be set to that. But it's giving me an error here about non-static because I've not set this up as static, so these do need to be static. But these both these methods will be set up the same way with different values. So I'm just going to copy that and paste that here and change all these to height. Height, set main height, and return main height. But these aren't going to be 640, these are going to be 800. But you set these values to whatever size you want your game. You might be working on a different system, different size monitor, different resolution. You might choose a different game here, but game width and height and that. So where is the set? Did we do the sets? We didn't do the sets. We're gonna have to create a set now. Create the method set. Now let's put that where? Right at the top. So we're gonna have a getter and setter for main width, and we're gonna have some checking to make sure it's not less than it should be. But to do that, we're gonna have to employ another called set main width and change the I to width just to let us know. I'm not sure if we should use this dot main width or just main width, but let's try it this way. Non-static variable. Okay, yeah, don't use this. Just use main width, and it's going to say something about private. I know it's still because it's not static. We will be changing that in a second, so that's fine. Main width equals the argument that's sent. We've lost our little red line there because that exists now. So this again will be. Let's just put the comments in there. This again will be needed for the main height. Instead of letting Netbeans do it, I'll just do it myself. set main height, height, oops, height, and height. Alright, all that's left now to do is to set these variables to static. We've lost the red lines underneath that one. But let's put these arguments in and change that. Parameter height. I'll get rid of that. Oh, param width. Yeah. Okay. So last thing to do is just change those variables to static. And then we'll lose all these red lines there. Find them. Static ints. Alright. So although we've not set these at the top here, we do call the modules here get main width, get main height. And if they're not set, or if they're less than what they should be set to, then we're going to set them and then return it. If they're already set, we don't need to reset them, we just return it. And the same goes with the height. All these red lines are finished now. These are the first basic modules or functions you would need to set this frame up properly the way I've done it anyway. Few other bits and pieces to add to main menu, game and status bar, but yeah, that's the constructor. Setting up the frame, game, the menu, panel and status bar, throwing it all in the frame and sorting out the custom exit. Now if we take a look at the frame, we have a frame too big for my screen. Yeah, I keep forgetting what system I'm using. Let's see up there. But we have got the title and it is centered as we told it to be. Have we told it to be centered? I think we can have that to the left hand side, but I think it defaults to center. Just in case you can't see that like me. This is where our icon would come up and this is our title and version coming from the game object. But I definitely changed this height on there to 700 because my screen's not that big. But as you notice, it did give the height and it did go through this get height, found that it was less than 800 and then it set it to 800. And it did the same with the width, so we know those are working. Alright, and again it should come up in the center of the screen there, just called that, and the other three, there we go. Alright, now we're going to add the status bar and the menu at this point, and I'm going to start with this one because it's the shortest constructor, I think. Is that? Yeah, it will be the shortest constructor, but it's also quite a basic one too. So let's get right on with that. We need a super here, and this is going to deal with the message and the location, which I'm going to change that I to no. Location is location on the bar at the bottom here, centered or to the right, left, etc. But it's set with a swing constant, which is an integer apparently. So let's change that on there. Okay, so that's the message and location of the status bar dealt with. This JLabel set border, is it? Yep. Set border to border. So we've got the message, the location, and the border arguments out the way straight away there. We've had to put the super above this because that has to go first in the constructor. Then we've got the print line out, but that won't make any difference. To when it's printed out, it's still print as soon as this constructor is called. Next, we would set the font. Now, this really would be more in the look and feel, and I may uh, have the look and feel deal with this. Um, at the moment, I'm just going to set this to null, and then it'll default to whatever font is on the system, I guess, or whatever IDE default is. Then we need to set the foreground and the background colors. And that's fine at yellow for the foreground. And this set background. And we'll have the background as black. Okay. And then one last thing. Again, this J label set opaque true. And that's the constructor on the status bar done. Because it extends JLabel, and we might want to change the status bar during the application running. We could set up setters for all of these: border, font, foreground, and background, and even the opaque or visibility, even if we want to show and hide this. But one of the public protocols we'll need in the status bar is going to be get status and set status. Get status will be a string. And it's got to have a return, that's why it's giving me that error there. And set is going to need a string argument. Okay, inside these, return status. Have to spell it right. And set status. That's probably static void, I think. So we're not returning anything there. Right. And we're going to need to put comments in these, but game design gets. I've got comments already, so I'm just going to nick them. And they've got sets as well. And because the status variable is not created yet, we've got to put that in attributes as well, but that's simple enough to do, and it's returning that attribute we're talking about now. And we'll get Netbeans to create it, but we'll probably change it anyway. At least it'll have the static on because it's already got it there. But I don't know if we want it private, but it's definitely an attribute. And attributes need comments too. Status variable and status bar. And that's the first attribute needed in the status bar. We need a status. We completed the constructor, setting the border, the font, which would be something different to know if we had a font in mind that we wanted to use or that was set in look and feel. Like we're going to set the icon. Um, the foreground and background, you could actually have settings for those as well to change them at some point later, but we'll leave it at that for the status bar at this point. At least it will have a message and show up. Speaking of showing up, I do believe we missed a set visible somewhere here. Status bar, set visible. You might want an option to disable the status bar at some point, which is a J label, so you can show and hide it with the visibility. Set visible true. So now the status bar will show up and it will have the correct border, would have the right font if we set it. Yellow text with a black background and it will be opaque as opposed to see-through, I guess. We've got to get status and set status if we want to change that during the game, which is probably a natural thing to want to do. Not sure with the get status we use, but obviously set a different status during the game, you'd use that one. Let's just run that now with the status bar showing. Seems we set the visibility right. Excuse my slow computer. So as you can see now, we have a J label at the bottom here with a black background, yellow foreground, and the border of it, if it wasn't black, I guess you would be able to see that. But if I change that to a different color here to maybe gray, you can see the border on it a little clearer there than the black. It does look like a raised bevel border, doesn't it? And then we've got the yellow text there. Now we're just going to work on the main menu at the top here. And I'm going to do that as quickly as I can, but we're only going to do it with the file menu and a couple of options here and the help menu at this point with one single option. Right, quickly as I can with this in the main menu here. So this is going to be the game menu. And I do my comments like this in the menu classes just to make sure I know where I am and they're easy to find because these classes can get very long in length of number of lines of code. I'm going to create a new J menu. If I can spell it right. And we're going to give that a title of game. And that's all you need to do to set up a single menu there. So if we have another, I've called it file menu there because it just denotes that it is the one on the left hand side of the menu. This would be help, and this will be on the right hand side of the menu bar. And obviously once again. Alright, so we've got the two menus now. What we need to do to add these to add this is just this and add a J menu. And we've got the help menu there, so if we copy that down, just add the file menu. That would be fine. Set the visibility, set the opaque to true, and that would show up and would show those two menus, but they would be side by side. The file menu would be far left, and then the help menu would be right next to it. We don't actually want that, so I'm going to do another this add, but instead of adding a menu, I'm going to add a box, and the box is going to Have some horizontal. And there we go. I'm going to create a horizontal glue, and that should pin the help menu to the far right, and anything after that glue as far right as it can be, I believe. So that's two menus added, one to the left, one to the right, and then we just need to set visibility. And this J menu bar set opaque, and that's basically the constructor for main menu with just two menus, no menu options. I just run that now. Okay, so we've got the game over this side and help over this side. And I don't think I got focus at that point. No, they don't seem to be showing up as focus like that. It's because there's nothing below them to be focused on. I think if they are showing up now. Yeah, I don't know why that is. I think because we've added the menu after packing the frame, the focus is still on the frame and not the menu. But at least they've shown up in the right spot. Let me just put a couple of options in here. The first one would be new game. So again with the comments, just so you can find these options easier, yeah, do this. And that's a J menu item. And it's going to be new menu item. And what's the argument? Just a label. New game. And obviously that's going to need an action listener in that as well. But while we're at this, just copy that down to here and double up the code here. So this is going to be help and help 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 again. Okay. So now we've got two menu items, but we need to add them to their respective menus at the bottom here as well. And there's no action listeners yet, which we do have to add as well. So adding to the menu items here, we just do refer to the menu itself, file menu, and then it's going to be add menu item. And it came up with the right one, as you know. And the next one is help menu. And add a menu item. It's not new menu item, it's help menu item. But in addition to the new menu item here, we're also gonna have an exit. Just as to show you how you put these options on there. So going on to the exit one here. Exit game, exit menu item, exit game. So you can see how many, how quickly these build up. That's three already, you know, and we haven't even got started yet. They're just the very basic commands of all games, you know, new game, exit game, help. But each of these need an action listener, and they need a key as well. So we're gonna plug them in keystroke for the new menu item is keystroke F3, and we're going to bind that to keystroke get keystroke, and that's key if dot vk underscore, no, it's wk, vk underscore f3, that's it. Okay, don't know what the difference is between those two, but whatever. And why is that giving me now? Because I've not imported keystroke. What a shit. Oh, right, I've missed off an argument here. It's key event F3, 0 arguments. Very funny the way that works. Quite a bit on Stack Overflow on that, which is where I found this gold. Joke. And this is going to be F4 as a default. And help is going to be a default 2H, obviously. But to get these to work, obviously action listener for each one and action perform. But we also need to set this as an accelerator and a mnemonic. The way to do that is you refer to the menu item and then do a set accelerator, keystroke F3 for that one, keystroke F4 for that one, and keystroke H for that one. Okay. The accelerator is the button to push to get the action to work. We also need a mnemonic to tell the user how that works or what key works with it. It's a mnemonic, apparently. Yeah, that one there. M-N-E monic. And I cannot spell that. I can spell it, but I can't say it. So you'll have to read that one out yourself. And the mnemonic again is going to be a key event. VKF3 for this one. And because I'm lazy, I'm just going to copy that down again. These are all set up in the same way. We just need to remember to change the start bit and change the end bit. And it's F4 there. Okay, so they've all got accelerators, mnemonics, if that's how you say it, and all they need now is an action listener. So let's do this one and copy it down. It's new menu item, add action listener, and then we'll create a new action listener and copy it down. There we go. That didn't work very well. Alright, we need to override action performed and probably import the action listener. Here we go. Public void action. We probably need an argument in there. Yeah, action event E. And that's going to be override. Alright, inside here we're just going to have a system art because we have no functionality for a new game at this point. There is no game to be new or otherwise. We're just going to let the user know that new game option has been clicked. And we're going to leave that in parentheses, quotation marks in. Right. So let's deal with this import here, what we're looking for. Action, let's know. And action event is an import as well. Don't want a lambda expression, so that's fine. Let's save. So we've got the new menu item. We've set up a keystroke to F3. We've set F3 as accelerator. We set the key event F3 as the mnemonic. We've added the action listener to the new menu item, which simply system print out new game click. But that's very easy now then to copy down to exit game, which have another printout, but it'll have functionality on. And then the help menu again, we'll just have the printout. So simple enough to do that one. And help clicked here. But this one is slightly different. Copy, and we're just gonna have a system exit, I think. So, but again, this following the custom exit here, we're gonna have the game stop in there as well. But again, there's no stop or start in game at the moment, so there's no point in just trying to add that. We'll add it, but comment it out. So game will stop with this exit menu item the same way as if you push the X in the top corner. You know, just for standardization or keep everything the same. You don't want to click exit on a menu and it will say, are you sure you want to quit? And then click exit somewhere else and it'll say something else, or it just doesn't say that and quits. That's poor program, poor design. Okay, so this is our menu items now. We've got the game menu, new game. It's got an action list, and if you click it, it'll print that out. Exit game. Again, if you click it, it'll print that out, but then it'll exit. And that's tied to F3, and that's tied to F4. And if you click help, you'll get the help clicked here as well. Or if you type H, you'll get the same response. But that's all in the output because there's no actual help menu to go to there, and there's no stopping of the game there. And we haven't worked out a game to have a new game at this point, so no functionality really. When it starts. But it does all run. Got the game design, creating the frame, and the game would be the game logic in the background here. We've got the main menu at the top with a couple of options, and we've got a status bar created at the bottom. I just showed that the game does go to F3 and exit game does go to F4. I'm going to stop these, well, press H here to show that help was clicked down here. But if I press the keyboard H as well, we'll get the same response. And the same on new game. If I click new game there, we'll get it down there. And if I press F3, we'll get new game clicked as well. So the same functionality from both pressing the keys and selecting the menu items there. Obviously I have to restart, show you this one, but that's click exit game. And it's still saying new game click because I've not changed it here. Okay, now if I go for the F4, in fact I should do that again, really, shouldn't I? I should click it. Okay, so exit game would be click, and exit game clicked, and pressing F4, you get the same. But it does exit the program as well, so that's pretty good. Everything works in the right format, everything's the right size, the frame's up with the title and the version, status bar is working with the right colors. Could probably change that to red text. We've got to get status, set status, menu items with action listeners. All set up down there. We've got the menu bar visible and it's set to opaque. Not much to go in the public protocol down there, I don't think, unless you've got any custom modules that these actions lead to. I mean, you could have a public protocol for the help clicked, you know, game set help menu, something silly like that, you know. The new game as well, you could have a module to go reset the game, but obviously that would be a module in game, but you could have a module in there that led to it, and then just call that module from your action performed. Yeah, I better sort this constructor out. So that'll be the main menu constructor, and obviously there'll be a few more menu items of all different kinds, I guess. You know, checkboxes and radio items. Radio items is definitely for the audio and keys and mouse controls. I think quite common. Checkboxes for, I don't know, things you turn on and off, I guess. Status bar, show status bar could be a checkbox item, but that would be on the view menu. And we know we're near the view menu at the moment. We've only got the file and the help, but yeah. I think I'm going to wrap it up there and come back with a few more ideas next time. I think I'm going to do the texture to get this icon sorted. Probably work on the look and feel as well, where we can change the font up here and this green color. Make it look a little different, a unique game. But obviously, there's no game logic in there at the moment. That's just how you would set up a frame to run your game inside.